Shidduchim podcast.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Episode 77, Good Things About the Shadchan. What's up? It's Isaac IJ, man of the Shidduch podcast. I'm here with the other host, Avery. Avery, welcome.
I cannot wait for this episode. Wow, this is
Why can't? Well, I'll tell you why I can't
so
wait,
endearing
because
to me.
we have Baila Sebrow, Shadchanit, dating coach, someone who writes is a contributor for the Five Towns Jewish Times, and just like a shidduch vet in this, knows her stuff. Baila, welcome to the Nobody Talk Shidduchim podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me join you.
Thanks for coming.
It's an honor.
The pleasure is ours. We're also back here. Cousin Malcolm. What up, Cousin Malcolm?
What up?
Okay.
I feel like Cousin Malcolm sounds like he's some sort of Lutheran figure in old Victorian England. I don't even know. I don't know.
Everyone has a Cousin Malcolm and Yamite, Cousin Malcolm, Shleimi. That's how they do it in my shul. But that's exactly the point. That's why we gave him the name. So Avery and I, for the past 70 something episodes, minus one or two, have been bashing the Shadchan, bashing the system. No, I'm kidding. We hopefully provide a platform for people to really get as much of the variety of opinions and opine views and some nonsense that we bloviate on and discuss. But this episode, we wanted to tell you about, talk to you about, the good things about the shidduch system, the good things about the Shadchan, the Shadchanit. So that's what we want to talk about today. Avery, is there anything nice you have to say about the Shadchanit?
Well, there's Shadchanim. I'll start by listing all these things which I've been thinking about for a long time about Shadchanim that I love.
Yeah, go on.
There you go. And that's the list. I'm kidding. No, I love Shadchan.
I have. Wait. By the way,
I'm hoping at the end of the show you're going to start to love at least this one.
No. First of all,
there you go. That's what you were waiting for.
I try to be as open-minded as I can. Clearly, I do a podcast with Isaac, so everyone knows it's. That's why they attribute the open-minded, stereotype to me. But I'm curious to hear about your shidduch experience, your life that led you to becoming a shadchan, so that we can understand where your mindset is when you deal with singles, people in the frum community. So, what started off? Maybe you're dating, all that stuff.
Absolutely. So I became a shadchan at the age of 18 years of age. It was kind of like a fluke. But even before that, as a child, I used to tell my mother when we would walk on the street, I think this lady would be good with this man. And even when we had guests over, I would think, even if there was a married couple, I don't know if they're matched so well together. So I've always had a feel for putting people together. It was just something that I enjoyed doing.
And then they would get divorced after that.
Actually, there was a story where one spouse died, and then the other spouse died, and then the living ones married one another, and I kind of predicted that, and
nice.
so. But it was just something that I've always enjoyed doing, and I very strongly believe in it, and I think it's a very holy thing that one can do. And it's also a chesed shalemes, because most of the time you don't get repaid for doing it. You set people up on dates, you bring people together, and at times people get upset if it does not work out. And even when it does work out, there are times when you just don't know. I have a recent funny story about that. So I was in a hotel for Pesach, and there was a couple there with two children, a third one on the way. And they looked very, very familiar to me. And then I said to myself, I think I set them up. All right, but I didn't say anything. I'm in the elevator, Chol HaMoed, with the husband of the couple, and he said to me, "You look very familiar." And I said, "Yeah," and I knew who he was. And he goes, "Are you Mrs. Sebrow?" And I said, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Oh, you were our Shadchan." I said, "Yeah, I know. Well, mazel tov. I see you have a third child on the way,
All those years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? People don't necessarily Shadchanim don't necessarily are always informed that a shidduch happened.
Right. Well, now that you have Venmo and PayPal, though, people know.
Well, I do it as a chesed, so I don't.
It's much easier to.
I don't ask for
Everyone
anything,
knows.
but I mean there is an inyan that you have to pay the shadchan, but I don't have a fee.
Right.
So if people do offer me something, I accept it, but I don't expect it, I don't demand it, and I don't say anything to them. So I hope to get rewarded by God, and I charge God with interest.
Oh yeah, but it's also, I mean, you obviously you're doing this for many years. I mean, you said you
Yes.
started at 18.
I
So
started at
you're doing
18.
this like 10 years.
Oh yeah,
So
right.
you're doing. I know.
So I started at 18, and then I started running my first singles event when I was 19. I saw there was a need for this. And this was before the days of
Baila, how
the
was
internet,
it?
social media.
Right.
So I'll tell you.
What was it like back
so
then?
now we advertise via social media, but back then, what I used to do is I would type up something on my electric typewriter. For those that know what that is.
I know.
And then I would go to the stationery store and get X amount of copies, and then go to the various campuses and start handing out flyers. That's the way it used to be. And
That's the way. I think we used to like physically actually have to hand flyers out.
Exactly. Yes, yes, I would.
Here,
Yes.
you take one. Here, you take one.
That's exactly
Oh
what
my
I
God.
did. Yes, yes.
People
and
would
then, of course,
stroll in.
I mailed things as well,
crazy.
and then eventually I graduated to postcards, and
Wow.
and of course, over time with social media,
How did
and now
you
I'm all
deal
over
with?
the place.
I've made a couple of singles events myself. How did you deal with the feedback and getting people in contact with each other?
Back
since it was more
in the
difficult
day,
without WhatsApp?
Well, no. Well, you know what? It was better because we used the phone as opposed to texting, which I think
Right.
texting causes a lot of problems and so much miscommunication and so many broken relationships, specifically because people text and things just get misconstrued and misdirected, and. Texting it's nice, it's
a lot.
fun, but I feel that it should not be the mode of communication when people are in a relationship. It's called pick up
Baila,
the phone and talk.
It's here.
No,
it's here.
absolutely.
It's
Listen, I
not
text all the
going
time.
anywhere.
I text all the time. I'm not knocking texting. I think it's great. But if you're going to have a heated discussion with someone, or if you're in a relationship and you're having some sort of a disagreement and you're going to be texting,
for sure.
you're going to create problems
Yeah.
for one another.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're probably on the same page with that. Like, texting, the just the quickness and means and advancement of communication is where people are still catching up to it.
Right.
But and I do hear this as like maybe not a solution, but just a proposal for a lot of matchmakers that are try not to text, try not to do. Let's get rid of the picture. Let's get rid of the text.
Oh, don't get me started on the pictures.
Right?
Let me tell you something. The resumes and the pictures, that whole system is really what caused the crisis. That's really what caused the crisis we have today. Quite frankly, I think we should have a bonfire and get rid of burn the resumes. Really, I'm
but
so
then
against it.
the problem is that people won't they won't be going out because of the pictures or the texting, and then they're not meeting in person. How will they meet? How will people actually meet? Because you're stripping everything away.
I'm not. No, not stripping anything. It's called going back to the old system. The fact of the matter is that the old system worked. After the Holocaust, after the death, after the brutal murder, the atrocities of more than 6 million Jews.
My apologies.
There were.
I know. It wasn't me. I'm kidding.
We actually did an episode about the history of Shidduchim with cousin Malcolm. Malk, you remember that? We did it a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
Sure. Great time.
Well, anyway, there were more marriages that took place than today. We have fewer people getting married.
We're in a quandary, no question.
It's absolutely awful. And so how were shidduchim read or suggested back in the day? So the matchmaker, I'm not talking about the shtetl days where there was one shtetl in the town and, one matchmaker in the town and,
drive to the other town.
one matchmaker in each shtetl and she would be given a chicken and whatever and a cow or whatever it is. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, in the United States. The matchmaker would meet both parties and if he or she would believe in their compatibility, would introduce them to one another. Nowadays, that's not the case. Most matchmakers never even met the parties they're introducing to one another. It's just, okay, two beating pulses. Okay, they read a couple of
try to
lines on the
match a few
resume, and
different things,
all right,
yeah.
that's it. Send them out on a date,
So
and click the send button.
Well, that's right. So that's something that we've been a proponent of. I guess at least just awareness. We don't really the solutions we're trying to figure out. That's hopefully a tangible benefactor of people listening to the show. Something they could really take home. We try to get to it. That's why we bring on guys and girls in different hushkafas and backgrounds. But in regards to this, well, a lot of this isn't escapable. So how do you proactively get around it?
All right,
now the Gen Zers. I'm curious to watch the Gen Zers because I'm a millennial. Avery's a millennial, and we kind of got into that mix of like we grew up seeing the old ways where we had a conversation like this. We talked. We were but. Technology got introduced into our lives, and I don't want to say just tech, but like WhatsApp, Instagram, just specific things. But these Gen Zers have been prepped on it, and they literally grew up with it. So I've noticed that the younger some of the I'll go out with Gen Zers, and they don't care about social media. They're like, I have social media. That's my online profile. Mm-hmm. And they don't have a lot of the anxieties, trepidation, content that the girls, that millennial women have, because the millennial women, these things came out. They were in high school, they were in elementary, and the rabbis were chasing them down the halls, being like, "Give me that phone, give me that, take that social media off." Girls got kicked out of school for having this stuff,
right.
And now it's become like normalcy. So I don't want to harp on that stuff too much. I mean, but like, I don't know. Maybe there's just a generation that's screwed and done. I mean,
well, no, I
don't know.
I don't think we should say that. I don't think we should believe that. And look, the fact is that resumes and pictures have only been in vogue, so to speak. I would say for the last 15 years. At most, and might even be a little bit less than that, depending on
but it's getting
circles.
Worse because it's so fast paced.
Absolutely,
like the fact
absolutely.
That you can send I'm trying now a little cleanse where I tell the Shadchan, I say, I don't want to do WhatsApp with you. I'm like, I'm on this site and I have this as my email, and I'm like, let's just communicate through there because
absolutely, you need to insist on that.
I need my WhatsApp is being covered by his work and his family and is my social life. So like, give me a second here to just kind of breathe and not have to like worry about everything. I mean, Mike, do you think? I'm sorry, cousin Malcolm. Are you seeing guys doing this? I mean, what are they doing to kind of like ease all of this fast-paced stuff, this lifestyle?
Yeah, I think people are a little bit lost. Like a lot of people I've spoken to are like they're kind of tired with the apps. They're kind of like, and I think it's true what you said that like social media wasn't as big of a thing. So like Instagram is kind of a new thing for people that grew up in the 90s, and it's a little bit like. At a certain stage, it becomes harder in a sense to meet people just because, like, we're not caught up in the same sense that like the younger generation is.
Yeah.
So I think all these opportunities, dating apps and Instagram is social media. It's not going away. It's here. We have the resumes. We have the pictures. It's not going away. I mean, look, I resisted. When I was writing Shidduchim, when this first came about, I tried to resist as much as I could because I saw the problems and I saw how fewer dates were happening as a result of the resume.
Less,
and it was really the resumes, which I initially was meant to be used to determine whether someone is right for you, whether you're compatible with somebody. It ended up becoming a vehicle to nix a shidduch. Right. So therefore, fewer people went on dates, and as a result, fewer marriages. But you can use both. It's here. It's not going away. We know it's not going away, and so it's very important that the matchmaker have a relationship with the people that he or she is introducing to one another. So yeah, the pictures are there, and so I'll tell you. So when I may suggest a shidduch to a couple, I call them. I get on the phone and I explain why I think it's good that these two people should meet one another. So I call the guy, I call the young lady, and I explain my reason for feeling the compatibility. And then I tell them, I know I have to send you a resume, I know I have to send you a picture, but I just want you to hear what I have to say. So I market them before they even take a look at anything. And I have to tell you, in many, many cases, they believe me and they trust me that they say, you know what, I don't need the resume. I believe what you're saying.
Oh, wow.
So
but how many out of 10 actually pick up that phone and will accept the conversation?
I will not suggest a shidduch without having a conversation with somebody. I need to interview the person.
But how many do you think, like, is it 5 out of 10? I mean, half the people you're calling? Or
I call everybody I send out on a date.
Okay.
Unless I'm doing something, through the internet, through Soyu at Sinai, but, which also So I mean, even then, I like to have conversations with the people I'm introducing, because most of the time I know them. But people who are not on the site and people who I set up on dates, I have a conversation with them. I have to know them. I have to know what they're all about and who they are and where they're coming from, because that makes a huge difference in compatibility.
So Baila,
I wonder if the reason why some Shadchanim might not take that approach, even though it clearly makes a lot of sense and is, in my mind, clearly the better way to do it, is that it kind of takes responsibility off of you if you don't have that in-depth of an approach. For example, one time I was involved in setting up a couple, and to be frank, they were people that were overweight, and so I felt uncomfortable suggesting someone who was overweight to someone, because I didn't want them to be offended, to think like, to be offended by the suggestion.
Malcolm, take that. Don't talk about me in the air.
And so I feel like the less I don't not to be like intellectually correct or anything. I'm just bringing out a point. But so I feel like
overweight are people
downside,
too.
From the Shadchan perspective, the downside to a more personal approach is that it might be harder to have suggestions like that. Although I'm curious if that's your experience.
So I disagree with that. I don't think that they're looking to have less responsibility. It's just easier. There are matchmakers who will not speak to anybody on the phone. You have to email them and wait for a response.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's about just the ease of it, click the button and make a shidduch. It's a lot easier. And, once you get on the phone and you talk to people, it could be an hour. Sometimes it could be an hour with each person. And then you have the parents call and the grandmother and the uncle. It takes a lot of time. And, people just want to do things easier. That's it. We live in that type of society.
It's also, Avery, go ahead.
Yeah. If you have something on that comment, it's a separate question.
I'll say mine. Yeah, well, I was going to say it's also become like it's a sales game now. That's a really big problem. Like I worked one time in recruiting, and recruiting, everyone kind of assimilates with HR, human resources, and it's not. It's just sales. Like big corporations have kind of jumped into it and taken over the business. So I'm relating here. What we're talking about with like shidduchim and trying to have the conversations, basically hunting. I'd say hunting product. That's the wrong term to use, right? That's not a good. But hunting singles and trying to match them. It's gotten
there are people who do that. Yeah,
right. That's the thing. Exactly.
Well, for those to whom it's a business, they treat it that way.
And they're willing to like chase people down, and also the power has been put in the singles' hands as well, because they have so many people now who are either reaching out to them or they can reach out to. So in a way, it's like the inmates are running the asylum. So, or like it's a bull market or a bear market. I don't know, whichever one means, the consumer kind of has more of the upper hand. And maybe it's not as good. Oh, like, hey, is that a good thing for a younger person to have it? Now, I'm not saying that it is or isn't, but now that there's a lot more power, so there's a real big power shift. There's a real big power shift going to matchmakers and people who are trying to set singles up, who are faster and are like, hey, they're more tech savvy. They know how to organize well, and bam, they can just send it, blast it. And now on the other hand of it, you have singles who are just getting so much volume and inventory. They're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed. You have a 25-year-old girl, you have a 23-year-old guy, and they're getting inbox like resume after resume.
I don't know where you're getting this inventory. Most people, I don't know. You must be very lucky. Most people don't get that kind of inventory.
Well, tell me more. I don't like that. You think people get less inventory
I meet incredible, accomplished young men and women who have told me and who are telling me they haven't had a date in months.
Yeah, but you think a lot of them actually get don't get anything? I mean, I'm sure they get something. Yes, there are people
who get. It depends on how well connected the family is.
That's true. That
I would say that families that are more connected probably get more suggestions, but even so, there's no one has all this inventory. People talk about the lists that guys have. They do not.
Right. I don't think. I
don't know what people have a misconception. I don't know.
I agree with that.
I'll tell you what the problem is.
At least for the girls, because the guy can always go younger. There's always that. Like every day, Baruch Hashem, thank the Eibishter, every day, 500 Orthodox Jewish girls turn, what age is appropriate? 19. 19 is it, right? Right, cousin Malk?
Someone hit the printer. That's the 1,001st resume I just received, actually. Someone said it.
Avery, I know, tell me, I know you wanted to kind of deviate into the next one.
I wanted to... I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to articulate this as well as I would like to, but I empathize with the 19, 20-year-old girls as well as the 20-something-year-old guys, any person really who's in shidduchim who feels that they're not the cookie-cutter candidate to be set up right away. Maybe they're not exactly the look that people are looking for. They don't have the wealthiest background. They're not
the best plan.
Maybe they're a little bit even socially off. There are people in cases like this where, and they don't even realize it, and it's sad. For a lot of these people who are sitting and attempting to use Shadchanim as a way to get them their match, to use them, I would think that they would become disenfranchised with the system a lot quicker. Yet, unfortunately, I feel like people do sit and wait for some sort of magic, North Star to just appear and just wish for something to happen when they don't realize that they can be a bit more proactive and not. I wish that there was a bit more emphasis on saying to people that maybe shidduchim is really not for everybody. There is it is for a large number of people, and it does work, and marriages happen. They happen successfully. I'm not going to destroy it. Yet I do think there are people that should look at themselves and say, maybe since I'm not exactly the right fit for what people in communities are looking for, I should sort of stay away from that. I don't know. That's my take. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so, I'll respond. So two things. First of all, people that are the way you describe, who might not be socially savvy or may not be what they consider attractive. So people like that do get married. I want to tell you, they have an easier time getting married because they have less expectations.
Yeah.
So I'm actually finding that it's a lot easier for people that have less expectations, and that's a fact.
Right.
The other issue is that the matchmaker is happy. Matchmakers want to make shidduchim. That's the bottom line. They do want to make shidduchim, or else they wouldn't be matching. They wouldn't be matching one another. The main issue is really that it's a candy store for some. I have cases of people who are compatible. They fall in love, so to speak. I say so to speak because who really knows if it's really love or
some
just
sort of fixation or attachment, obsession.
We don't really know. And for no good reason, they end relationships And before they end relationships, they're on social media checking out this one, checking out that one. And they're actually afraid because they think someone better is going to come along.
I've seen that.
I think
I've
it's
seen that
emblematic
with
of our
my eyes.
society.
Yeah.
It's more than just in shidduchim, meaning
Yeah.
the shidduch system, our culture, reflects what's going on in society.
Right.
Nowadays, we have options. We have Netflix, every streaming site you can imagine, every
I love
social
that.
media
Great.
category you can imagine. And the same thing happens now in the film world. Remember, 20 years ago, there was 2 restaurants on Central Avenue. I don't
Right.
know. There was just
Oh my God.
King
There
David
were 5.
and
There were
Yossi's
5.
Grill. That was
Right.
it.
Right. Brooklyn
Now-
had like 8, maybe.
Some new
Queens-
Wagyu
Queens,
place just
actually.
opened up selling Wagyu beef. Who eats that? Like no.
Wagyu
when did
beef?
grown people eat Wagyu beef?
Oh my God. Wait. Wagyu beef? Get out of here.
No,
Get out of
it's,
here.
It's
Like, what is that?
insanity. Gourmet Glock.
I had it once.
Has
It is
self
amazing.
checkout.
He said it's good.
He would, yeah. Malcolm would.
I wanted to tell. So Baila, I totally can relate to that, and there is that candy shop theory. That
Yeah.
a lot of certain daters, not just like everybody or anybody.
No, of course
but
not. Of
but
course
certain
not.
daters, especially when you're younger, like you do think
even
like,
older. I work with all
Doesn't
ages.
matter.
You do
It doesn't
have on
matter.
there-
It could
right.
be people in
I
their
would
20s
say-
all the way up to their 60s.
Right, I would say like dating. It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't really matter who how old you are, whenever it is.
Yeah.
But they do have this.
The 30 is
this-
usually the age. Usually 30 is.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
exactly.
exactly
Yes.
prime candidate.
Correct. That's because I'm 30.
Hey.
Now that is true. I can definitely say that there's been times in my dating path, my dating career, where I said, this girl is not, Mrs. IJ, but I'd love to make it work, and I'd love to try. And it was not reciprocated. It was, there's something better. I just know it. Like that's what was going on in their mind.
How do you know that was? How do you know that was the case? Did they?
At
express
some
it?
point. Yeah, I mean, well, I'll tell you how I know, because I used to do it. That's
Yeah.
that's the number one reason. And
Yeah.
and I get that. It's a big decision. It is a big decision. I think it's all about timing and chemistry. I think that's like, but of course timing is becoming more and more of a delay now. Simply, society is I don't want to say dumbing down, but like it's well-known psychological studies that people are kind of becoming older later, right? They're staying like
People are
more immature.
You're right. People appear to be
because
late bloomers more so now
yes.
than in years past.
Right, and the big thing I wanted to kind of like weigh in on that statement before about the candy shop. I actually would disagree with the candy shop theorem, because I'll tell you why. The Orthodox Jewish community at large is so diverse. Now, what do I mean by so diverse? At the end of the day, the goyim I work with, who I love, my righteous Gentile workers, they look at all of us and they're like, "You're all the same." But all of us Yidden know, like we bifurcate ourselves into the most tiniest niches you've ever heard of in your life.
That's correct.
And I can't put that past anybody. You're literally talking about young men, young women whose father and mother at the Shabbos table probably talk of like the most nuanced, ridiculous, insane discrepancy of a difference of their custom to someone else, but that's a problem. And also, we naturally are just we are a very diverse globalist kind of religion. Down my block, there are Bukharians. Up my block, there are Persians. Across the street, Ashkenazi Jews, very similar custom to me, but their ancestors aren't from Europe. They're from not from Poland and Ukraine. They're from France, but that's totally different. So if you factor all of that stuff in and just kind of realize that, hey, from people could be like a little kooky sometimes with this, like, oh, are you kidding me? There's a difference there. Then yeah, it's a problem. Like when I was a more immature dater or an experienced dater, I kind of went based off of what I was just being dealt with. And in yeshiva, it was like such a crazy big deal if you, benched a different way than the next guy and you had to change your whole thing. But that's what kind of mindset you're dealing with. Now, I'm not going to disparage it in any way. Personally, I will be like, yo, bro, it's like just the stupidest thing. Like, come on, let's give each other a chance. So as in my older years, I can definitely say nothing really matters to me anymore. Like I have a few selection. I've literally just one or two things, and the rest is like, hey, let's make it happen. But given that, what would you say? Like that is a good response to like, hey, maybe it's not like that. There's so many options out there. There's people are battling through a lot and have all those things.
I'll take it one step further. It's not just cultural differences, but they have all these different types of hashkafas. I mean, years ago, no one asked what type of hashkafa is he. Yeah. So you got the modern Orthodox Machmir, modern Orthodox liberal. I mean, every day there's a different title and a subtitle, and you can't go if you're modern Orthodox. That's not okay to go with someone who's Machmir or if you're liberal, whatever it is. And the problem is people are not meeting each other. Not only that, but and then we got the modern yeshivish. When I meet people and they describe themselves, I interview singles, men and women, and I could be speaking to someone and he or she would say to me, "I'm modern yeshivish." So that means nothing to me. And I tell them, that means nothing to me. Well, what do you mean? I'm not in yeshiva. That doesn't mean anything to me. Tell me about yourself. Tell me what you do. Totally. Tell me about what have you done? What have you accomplished? Where are you in your life?
I love that approach, and I respect that approach. There needs to, what can you say, though, about, giving someone, like, something to work with, like just some kind of category, because at the end of the day, the people you're servicing out there, they're very strict about this. Oh, no, I'm yeshivish, and I can't be with someone who's modern. And then
That's
you
correct.
go to the modern saying, I'm modern, but, I don't mind going out with like a modern yeshivish girl. And then the modern yeshivish girl will say, well, I'm modern yeshivish. I'm not like, Heimish. And it's just like insane.
And it's not just Heimish. There's a difference between...
It's crazy.
Right. It's not just Heimish. There's a difference between Heimish and Hamish, by the way. There is a very big difference.
Oh, I love that. You're right. Wait.
Yes.
Cousin Malk, do you know what the difference between Heimish and Hamish is?
I have a suggestion, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay,
But I guess
Bayla's our benchmark here, so she'll know. Go ahead.
So Heimish is more of a Hungarian type of background. Hamish is probably more like a
Hasidish.
Polish or a Litvish type of background.
Oh wow. Okay. So,
there is a difference. Yeah. So Hamish and Heimish can have a problem dating one another.
Is that what you're going to say?
But when I introduce people to one another, I don't describe their hashkafa in terms of modern Orthodox Machmir, modern Orthodox, plain modern Orthodox liberal, yeshivish, modern yeshivish. I don't do that. I talk about their compatibility, where they're in life, where they've been to school, what they're doing, what they would like to do, where they would like to live, important things, family background, and I leave all the titles out. It's unnecessary. Another problem is that the camps, people decline one another because of camps. People decline. In fact, the guy once said to me, well, you don't understand. Camps make a big difference. And I was arguing with him, and I said, don't you realize when she was 9 years old, she didn't choose the camp. Her parents chose the camp. And there could be a million reasons why. But anyway, he declined.
I mean,
he declined the shidduch,
by the way,
and that was it. That was his loss.
It does look. Everything tells you a lot about certain things. I'll just leave it like that, as like, politically and hashkafically correct. So that where someone goes to camp, where someone goes to yeshiva, there is a way. But there is an identification. But when I think as you get more and more fed up with the dating system, right? So meaning obviously the longer you're dating for, and kind of like the more you're kind of getting nowhere, like just start throwing things away.
Come hashkafically fluid.
Start hashkafically fluid.
That would be the term.
Start like just forgetting it.
Yeah.
Because like that has been something that I've realized must be done. Like you can't just hold on to that same thing. Like this, they had to have gone to one of these 3 yeshivas in seminary in Israel.
Oh,
I'm like,
oh
bro,
my God,
that's 10 years ago for some girls.
That's right.
That's seriously. I'm like, that's crazy.
Oh yeah,
or
people
by
could
the
be
way,
in their 40s and they care about what seminary somebody went to or what yeshiva they went
God,
to. And oftentimes, more often than not, they're totally nothing like the hashkafa of the school they've attended. Life changed them. Experiences changed them.
Life does change things.
I hear that.
What do you?
What? Sorry.
What? Sorry, no.
No, Mal, go ahead.
Yeah.
Mal, go ahead.
Now, did the puppy bite your tongue?
Poopy.
Speak.
How do you know? I just got a puppy dog? But
You got it though. Go ahead.
Previous generation, people didn't care. People didn't care that much about like hashkafa or putting themselves in certain boxes. Where in this generation they do, because I've heard a theory that it has to do with the wealth of the generation.
Interesting.
Well, wealth was always an issue, believe it or not. Even years ago, wealth was always an issue.
It's never not.
There were
been an issue.
there were always people who were looking for wealth, or wealthy families who preferred to marry, to be mashadach with other wealthy families. So that always existed.
Never my family.
But all these
when it comes to money, it has never changed.
No,
it's been the same from day one.
Money's not important.
Do you, Avery? What you were going to say something?
Yeah, no, we were just talking about life changes, I think, earlier, correct? And the changes that I've experienced over the last few years, right? You may say the vicissitudes of fortune I've went through, which is the unpleasant and deeply saddening moments that occur in life for people, really gives them perspective on how they choose to want to live their lives, right? And I think we grow up and have grown up in a society and a community that is placated to making sure that children are kept as far away from real issues as they possibly can be kept. And especially in the yeshiva system, there is like a bubble that they live in, that people live in, where there's no hardship, there's no struggle, there's learning, there's yeshiva, and these are expectations. These are things that not only in society should be looked at as luxury, these should be appreciated so much more than I think people in our community even do appreciate. Number one, we're in a country that allows people to sit and learn, right? Religion, we're not being persecuted for our religious beliefs.
And paid for
Number
in so
two,
many
and we're
cases.
being paid for it in Lakewood, in New Jersey. And
even local, even
locally, wherever we're paying, we have hashkafa, we have yeshiva, we have this stuff, and we need to appreciate it a lot more than we do. And by creating division and disharmony within the community, by attacking somebody for being modern or yeshivish, number one, just because you don't necessarily agree with somebody's religious hashkafa doesn't mean you can't get along.
That's
Republicans and Democrats can marry. They can be in relationships.
You wouldn't believe how it's affecting shidduchim. Republicans and Democrats Democrats will not date Republicans.
Go back to the pandemic, the mask situation.
Oh, for sure.
It was such a divisive subject that occurred.
Vaxxers and non-vaxxers.
Vaxxers and non-vaxxers, yeah.
That's right. A non-vaxxer will not date a vaxxer. And if you're on social media, the fights that went on.
Right. And I think people need to, again, rein in
we're still in part
perspective.
Of the pandemic. But
no, it's the pandemic. It's perspective. It's like the biggest issue is a guy sitting at home and he's on his phone and he doesn't have anything to do. He doesn't have a date. And this is catastrophic. This is the end of the world. This is a catastrophe. It's a calamity.
Go do something. Right. Go do something.
Do something. Appreciate life. Like,
that's Avery. I loved what you said.
People come in with their demands to Shadchanim. Oh, I need this exact girl. Specific.
Some do.
Have some perspective. Have some humility. Some hubris.
They describe what they want her to look like. Listen. It's not just the guys, but sometimes the mothers. Sometimes the mothers will say,
don't even get us started.
She needs to be a size, size 2. My son doesn't date anyone who's a size 2, or
that family that they want.
That's too. She doesn't date a size 2. She has to be less than a size 2, or less than a size 8, depending on what it is they're looking for.
People just don't have like the proclivity, just be beyond the proclivity,
the self-awareness,
innate, right?
It's just the
self-awareness, the sentiment to realize like how much damage they are doing and can be doing. Certainly, look, having your mother or your father, obviously we've all decided the father doing it, setting up people is a little weird. Us guys,
it happens quite a lot. I've had many fathers call me.
We don't like it.
I set you up.
You set me up, Avery. Avery's my Tati. He sets me up. No,
call me Tati.
Call next podcast for Avery. Call Avery Tati.
Metaphorically.
On its way. But like it does have aside from being annoying, I'm sure as a Shadchanit you can say it's annoying. There are ramifications. There's so many intricacies with it. But also like Avery's saying, like the fact that you're taking away the only little part of realism, reality, responsibility that might be there, you're taking away. Now, I'm not saying for the BMG, Black Hat, Machmir, that it works. Now, obviously, 30%, whatever the numbers are, 40%, it's working less. It's working less if you're out of an area like Lakewood or out of certain out-of-town neighborhoods or, heart of Flatbush, let's say. So as you get older, I'm just saying, you got to like change this up. You can't be 29, a female, and have your mother set you up at that. Like what, like you can't, I don't know, unless you're looking to, I'm just saying, unless you're really stuck on marrying, an older man who's going to treat you like a child, which then I understand, but that's not the reality because the tide being thrown against us, or at least, and especially I'm saying us singles, but for sure the girls, is you need to be the feminist wave. You need to be independent. You need to be on your own. You need to make your own money. So those are things. Tell me, Baila, are those like? How do you think that's affecting some of the girls?
So in the more modern Orthodox communities, the young ladies will call me on their own. But the more right-wing communities, the parents will call, even if it's regarding a young lady who's in her 30s. They just feel that's the appropriate way that the parents get involved, at least to the first phone call. Now, they know that I will never set anyone up unless I have a conversation with them. So the first thing I say to the mother or the father sometimes, who I tell them, well, you know what, it's nice speaking with you, but I would rather have a conversation with your daughter.
Oh, nice. Good for you. Tough over here.
Yeah, well, it's not about being tough. I could be tough if I need to be, but but it's not about being tough. There's no way parents can describe their marriage-eligible daughter in the same way as she could describe herself.
You would hope not.
Yeah. And because oftentimes what the mother thinks the daughter is looking for, they're not necessarily on the same page with one another.
And everyone's going to, of course, be totally redundant. Oh, she's the best girl. She's so open-minded.
For those who've watched Maisel,
I think
season
Yeah.
3 of
But
Miss Maisel.
It's not
watched
just
Miss Maisel.
that. It's in terms of what they're looking for. What the mother may describe the daughter is searching for in a husband is
Yeah.
very different than what she really wants.
not everyone's gonna have that gumption and be able to articulate
So I'm
easily.
I have absolutely no interest
their
in having a
third party.
conversation, with a mother, except hi, how are you, and have your daughter give me a call. And even younger people, even 19-year-olds, I tell them your daughter has to call me. Yeah, but she's very shy or she's not comfortable speaking to the Shadchan. And then I say that how can I possibly set her up with somebody if I don't have a conversation? I don't know anything about her. What's her personality like? I'll tell you what she's like. No. I need to feel comfortable because I'm going to call the guy and I need to describe to the guy exactly whom I'm sending him out on a date with. So I will
awkward.
not send anybody out on a date unless I have a
It's
conversation
a little
with them.
awkward, Baila, because my mom was waiting outside to speak to you about me.
I'm happy to talk to her. I'm happy to talk to her, but
She's a big
I
fan.
won't
She
send
reads
you
the
out on a
article.
date until I have a conversation with you.
I know. She reads the article. She's a big fan.
Oh,
She wants
thank
an autograph.
I love that. I love
Thank
that.
you.
It's terrible. No, I hear.
Isn't he
it's-
witty?
You're so
Isn't he
right.
witty?
You're
Isn't he
very.
good?
You're on point.
Thank you.
I think so. You're on
Oh,
target.
yes, you are. What up, people? It's IJ from Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. August 26th, there is an awesome, amazing single Shabbaton. It's called The Weekend by Build a Bias. I wanted to tell you that I will be there. Avery will be there. Guests from this podcast will be there. It takes place August 26th through August 28th, 3 days. Relaxed environment, qualified Shadchanim, some awesome entertainment. You can take a look at more information on their website, buildabias.com. Register, buildabias@gmail.com, or just WhatsApp them right now, 516-387-6060. Let's go. I'll see you there. Shabbat Shalom.
A great time to shout out your store, Michal.
Style and Trend, please shop it.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today's episode has been sponsored by Style and Trend out in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Right.
They have some of the most top women's fashion trends, styles. Get your tops, get your bottoms, get
IJ
your
gets his
hats.
tops there.
What else? Shoes.
No,
They
No,
sell shoes
accessories,
too.
beanies. We got jewelry.
Okay, they sell
All the
they sell-
fashionable Instagram
all the
brands
fashionable.
that you see
Mention
on
Nobody
the gram.
Talks to Shidduchim and get a discount.
Yes,
Exactly, 10% off.
mention, okay,
We
10.
should do that
We're
for
giving
real.
10. NTS10 for 10% off. That's NTS10.
Hashtag.
Tell Michal, Avery, IJ, and Tommy sent you.
Awesome.
I know we were discussing in the prep, Bailey, yesterday, a little bit about some, maybe deep, more responsible, not responsible, but more deep, more intimate kind of discussion you wanted to have. I wanted to kind of put that forward to you if you
Okay.
wanted to,
Sure.
kind of get into that.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me what you're seeing. You run a very popular. I don't know what's beyond popular. You are a shidduch dating columnist pioneer, right? That's like clear to say, and we need to hear a little bit more about that. What are you actually seeing in the underworld? I guess maybe behind the stage. What are you seeing behind the stage?
Right. So my column is very similar to a Dear Abby type of column where people reach out anonymously about problems they're experiencing, whether it's about dating or when they're in actual relationships. And one of the things that I have noticed very early on is that whatever problems exist in the secular community also exist in the Orthodox community. And that's because people are people. The good news is that things are not buried as they were in the past. Everything is out in the open.
That gets a cheer.
So, and that's a good
There
thing.
you go.
That's a good thing.
Wait. There you go.
Wow.
Issues such as abuse. You know what? As it exists in the secular community, it can exist in the Orthodox community too. Because let's face it, people who are abusive are not stable.
Yeah.
And mental instability and mental illness exists just as it exists in the secular community. It can exist in the Orthodox community too. People are people, but it needs to be addressed. Years ago, people kept quiet about those things, and you know, if somebody was in an abusive relationship, they weren't allowed to say anything. You know,
but I think so. I'll tell you from my experience, and obviously, I know there's a little bit of a generational gap between us, and that, you know, is a certain take, you know, right? Like your generation is going to tell say, well, our generation has this problem, and our generation is going to look at yours and say, no, you don't understand that. That's your problem. But I'm going to comment on that abuse. You know, after dating a lot of from Orthodox girls, and again, it could be modern, whatever you identify with, like ex-chassid, pre-chassid, post whatever, right? Post-Beis Yaakov, I could go on. I have identified a lot where that abuse does come from. Living in 2022, with the innovation of technology and feminism and just where we are, not going to get into the specifics of it, but it is a very humbling, relaxing, peaceful, and powerful thing for a young person in their 20s to be on their own, making their own decisions, making their own money, working, really literally like making life decisions like, do I, you know, not eat dinner or pay my rent? You know, these are really good, happy, healthy decisions to be making that give you the fortitude, that develop your brain, that develop your mindset. And if you don't have that option to do it, not everyone has to do it, but if you're not given that option to do it, you are in an abusive, toxic, bad relationship, period. What you can do about that is very simple. Look around. Who's holding you back? As a shidduch dater, as someone who's been on that side of things, you know, I was in certain places that were not giving me that possibility. And I have seen that is like a big chunk of the shidduch daters who kind of don't make it or get lost in that 30-40% that don't, you know, end up right away married and have a successful shidduch journey. Those are literally the people we're talking about. And waking up to it is imperative. It's imperative. It'll save your life. You know, we went away. I went away. We went away recently, Avery and I. We went on a little singles Shabbaton. We hung out with a lot of, it's not like so recently. I don't want to say when, and you know, there was a beautiful girl. She was like 27, just a few years younger than me. And I was like, hey, like I started talking to her and I could tell right away she's not comfortable talking to guys. And I just knew right from there, I'm like, you know, where are you living? I knew she was living at home, and she said she's living at home. And then I say, like, you know, where are you in school? And I knew it was probably some kind of, you know, good education, you know, well education place, but there's no social life. And she's like, I'm in Colombia. So I'm getting these like ideas because, you know, if you're in Colombia, it's tough to like be a frum Jew and also like have that embraced and also like study and work hard. Obviously not for everybody, but these are like I can just see, and I'm thinking, you're 27 years old. Why, like, how are you uncomfortable doing this at this point? Like, you have to overcome. And I saw that this person had these abusive or toxic, and I get it that there is an aspect to it that there's a more serious, you know, form of it.
You know why people love the story of the comeback of Rudy or of the underdog? Because they're injured. This happened to Kobe. Hurt his Achilles. Kobe Bryant hurt his Achilles with the Lakers. Came back next year on crutches, and he released the crutches. Whatever was holding him back, took his team, won the championship. People in the community need to release the crutch or whatever it is that are holding them back if you want to get to success. I'm not saying that if shidduchim is your end goal, game, healthy relationships, whatever it is, there are things that we rely on as humans that inhibit us from getting to where we want to go. There are things that people do, whether it's parents or careers or school, keeping busy with so that your mind is off of whatever problems or whatever aspirations you have, just keeping busy generally. So
yeah. So I'm going to respond to that, Cousin Malcolm, and also go back a little bit to what you said earlier. So it's not a given that everybody wants to be married. I mean, you mentioned also earlier that maybe some people shouldn't get married. It's
right.
Maybe.
I would say that only if somebody doesn't want to get married. It's not a given that everyone wants to be married. In the case of this 27-year-old young lady from Colombia who seemed uncomfortable, whom you assumed was just somebody who went to some right-wing school, it could very well be that she really did not want to be there, and maybe her parents pushed her to go there, and, or maybe she wasn't happy.
Well, that would be a problem.
She had to show her parents that she's doing her hishtadlus and finding her basher, or maybe she wasn't happy with the crowd who was there. Maybe it just wasn't her crowd, or maybe she just broke up with somebody. There could be many reasons why she may have been, more on the quiet side or seemed unhappy. We just don't know what's going on in somebody's life. But when I was talking about abuse, earlier, I was talking about people who are in abusive relationships while they're dating somebody, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and this exists. It exists, and it's ongoing. And the Frum community is now very open about it, to the extent that there are organizations such as Shalom Task Force, who will go into the schools and speak to the high school seniors about red flags and recognizing the dangers in a toxic relationship.
I think we've come a long way.
We have certainly come a long way, and thank God for that. Yeah. Things happen on dates that years ago people wouldn't talk about. Bad things happening to people.
Tell us the top two.
Yeah.
Look, it happens, and thank God it's not an everyday occurrence. Date rape happens.
I know.
What? That's crazy.
To me, she did it
wow.
to me.
God.
People are people.
Shame on we got
people are you know what? People are people. It happens.
Date rape, yeah.
It doesn't happen. Thank God it does not happen often, but when it does happen, the victim needs to understand that she did nothing wrong. It's not because of something she wore or said or was flirtatious, or the person that she was on a date with was just not a well person, was a sick person, and he needs to be taken to task for what he did.
Tell us where this guy lives.
I can only imagine
screw this guy up.
The traumatic effects that.
Well, so years ago, if that ever happened to a young lady, it wouldn't be discussed, because if word on the street was that she did something sexually, if I can say that word, on the air, whether or not she was forced or not makes no difference, because she would have been viewed as damaged goods. Right. Thank God the Frum community is more aware of, and respectful and empathetic where victims are concerned.
Gayla, do you find that men in the Frum community want to be treated as if they're in a monarchy, like they're kings, that they're better than in some way than the female,
like a harsh masculinity?
Well, there's certain. I think that
privilege that comes with being a man in the community.
I don't think so. I think that's probably more a cultural thing. In certain cultures, yes, the man wants to be the king and controlling. I think it's more of a cultural thing, unless he's a narcissist. I mean, narcissists we know are very controlling types of people. Yeah. That's another thing. There's more awareness about narcissism, which years ago no one knew about.
Yeah.
Young ladies or even men. I mean, a narcissist could be a female too. It's not just a man.
I blocked I blocked all the narcissism searches from my dates
on the site.
But it's important nowadays. People are taught how to recognize narcissistic tendencies.
Yeah.
And the red flags in relationships.
This podcast is the number one hit list when you search Spotify.
I don't know what you're talking about. Narcissism is certainly a thing. I don't like to overuse the term. Like, I think we know narcissistic people, but the narcissistic tendencies is real.
For sure.
I can't help but notice, no matter how we try to kind of find the issue or label the issue, like, things still like just get lost in the translation. I've seen it. Well, I would say, in this situation, Avery, like what you were mentioning, the monarch thing.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Privilege.
Absolutely.
Monarch. Yeah.
That 100% is causing like major problems. I'm trying to think of a good word, maybe
rifts.
Rifts. I think there's like maybe a juxtaposition a little bit, because on one end we're telling the girls that you have to look for a balabatish guy and he has to treat you right and make sure he has good midos. But on the other end, guys go to shul, they're loud, they play politics, they scream at the rabbi screams at them. There's all messes. They go to work and like we know it's prevalent in the Jewish community. I'm a member of 29 Kiddush clubs, Baruch Hashem.
And you attend.
So, and I attend, and I see how these guys are. Like, I see a lot of them treat their wives like, oh my God. I mean, is a fourth class citizen a thing?
How you treat your roommates.
Go get the salami. Yeah. Blah 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 blah. So Jimmy, let me tell you about synagogue, and let me tell you about how So I see that.
Yeah.
And those are the guys who get married. So there is a major psychological aspect here that women do want to be treated in some kind of way, which obviously.
What do you mean by some kind of way?
Well, in that monarch kind of thing, like the father is the.
They want to be taken care of.
The man is the one who is making the demands, and the woman kind of comes in and
they're looking for
those demands.
A fatherly figure to take care of them.
Certainly,
that's a case by case. It depends on how they were raised.
I think it's becoming more prevalent, though, Baila. I don't think it is it is not a case by case. It is, in fact, like just prevalent now. It is really widespread.
Well, Malcolm,
maybe it's the Kiddush club you go to.
Could be.
Well, I thought that by the first 3, but then by the 16th one, I was like, all right, there's something to this.
Yeah, I feel like Malcolm could comment on the opposite, though. I feel like men have the Oedipal complex. What is it called? Malcolm? Oedipus complex, right? Where we're looking for a motherly figure who's going to take care of our warmth, our security, and love us like they did, right?
Well, there are people looking for that. So even that's case by case. There are women who are comfortable being subservient to the husband and being protected, and then there are women who are want to boss over their husbands. I mean, you've got all kinds, and it has to do. You know what? It's really about upbringing. And there's some men who want the wives to boss them. It's a case by case situation.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day,
I think even that's cultural too.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think at the end of the day, like attraction. If you read, like, I've read a bit about like the science of attraction or whatever. And at the end of the day, so masculine energy attracts feminine energy, and feminine energy attracts masculine energy. So in some couples, it could be that the husband or the male figure is actually the more feminine energy in the relationship, and the more, let's say, passive, or those traits that are associated with femininity, like, let's say, passive and more making less decisions or things like that. I don't know if those are good examples, but I just like come off the top of my head in terms of what might describe feminine versus masculine energy.
And practically speaking, we see that played out in communities such as Lakewood, where many of the women are doing the work. I'm not talking about.
Right, they're the breadwinners.
They're the breadwinner, yet they also don't make
bringing home the money. That's absolutely
psychologically speaking. Though they don't make the decisions.
It's not just
sometimes they do. It depends.
Sometimes
it's not just in Lakewood. I'm telling you, not just in Lakewood.
Of course,
it happens in Far Rockaway.
Right here.
It happens in the Five Towns. It happens in Queens. Queens is a big. Although I will tell you, I have found in Queens
Tom
the
Brady
women
and Giselle.
The women make like the decisions more from like the Kew Garden Hills community. I'm telling you, I'm people message me, DM us. You can WhatsApp us 4000 WhatsApp or at Nobody Talk Shidduchim podcast. Chicago, out of towners, Chicago. You know, I love Chicago. You have to head up there for a shidduch date sometime. I think such refined, sweet people, where the man is definitely
so you get to know
the
them.
woman is a bit more subservient. I've been to I did NTSY New England. Whoa, progressive hippie town over there. Totally, like they have the men. The men are making the babies now. God. Anyway, that was great. I just set myself up there.
Yeah, but no, I don't know. I agree with you. There's no right or wrong. It's just what works for other couples. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Bailey, you can comment on this. But through your experiences, people, generally, from what I've experienced in relationships and having seen and been in a couple, people just want to feel respected.
Oh, absolutely.
And they want to respect the person they're with.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's it.
Yeah, marriage cannot be successful unless both respect one another. Mm-hmm. You know, the husband has to respect the wife has to respect the husband, respecting boundaries. Mm-hmm. That's all part and parcel of a healthy relationship.
Yeah, which brings us back to the conversation we had at the beginning about modern people, modern yeshivish dating, Haimish dating, modern Orthodox dating from whatever.
Right.
Respect. It's all about communities, respecting each
yeah.
other, respecting our differences.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Coming together.
And, and part of a healthy relationship is being able to negotiate. And at the end of the day, learning to agree to disagree in harmony.
Yeah.
I've learned that, Baila. I will say, I think even
so difficult.
I think even you've probably tried sending me up years ago. We were discussing something, and I was saying, no. Like politics are important. It's my religion, politics, and I've definitely overcome that. I don't really like. I mean, no, like nothing. Like I'm willing to try with anyone, even though they might have a different political point of view.
Oh,
it's
good
just
for you.
It's certainly just like. Really, what's your values and where is your culture at? You know, my culture as a 30-year-old Orthodox Jew is to pay rent and try to get as much money away from my dentist and into my 401k. That's it. That's it. Now, that's my thing. I don't know. I know a lot of other people have it differently, right? They're trying to pay different bills or they're just spending it on food. I don't know. Whatever they're spending it at the rabbi shir. The rabbi shir is important. You know, we have to take care of the rabbis.
Or they're gambling and drinking and smoking too much.
Well, those are great things. I personally, those are great things to keep
gambling,
busy with,
drinking, and smoking.
What do women keep it like? Women do lavish vacations. They do crazy. Yeah, I saw like a group of girls go. There was like a Dubai program.
More than that,
and like all these girls just went to Dubai. And like that's what they do. They blow it on vacays.
Clothing, shopping, hair.
Oh,
makeup.
Clothing also, right?
Yeah,
right. Well, I don't know about that because there's the Jew from girls like the clothing thing is. But I guess at the end of the day, girls just spend a lot on clothing. So kosher food also.
Hopefully they do because I'm not paying for that. But
restaurants, it depends on what's important to them. It's part of their recreation.
How important is recreation? Like, how do you see it? I personally, the first thing I would do is ask, like, what do they do for recreation? What do they do to treat themselves?
You know what? That's a very important question.
That's what I would ask.
And that's all part of compatibility. It's not just the two people, but where they're coming from in life that makes a tremendous difference in the way they perceive things and the way they look at the world at large. So, what do you like to do for fun will tell you a lot about the person as well. A couch potato likes to sit around and do nothing all day may not be compatible with somebody who wants to go hiking every Sunday.
I know. Well, Avery and I make it work, but that's a different situation.
Well, I have to.
But you know what? But I've seen those things work too.
I have to park the RV with the meth lab out back.
But I've seen, But I've seen those things work too. I've seen adventurous people. Be happily married to someone who is not as adventurous.
Right.
Sometimes
Well,
when
that's a
people are
boundary
too much,
thing. That's a
sometimes when
boundary thing.
it's like the question is, can an introvert marry an extrovert? Absolutely. I think when you have two extroverts, they talk over each other. It becomes too concentrated. So sometimes, I think healthy relationships are where one is a little bit more introverted than the other, and they balance each other out.
I love that. Malk, I think Baila hit something really, really powerful here. I am finding more that people who match with each other, it is usually the couch potato with the mountain climber, because the mountain climber needs her space. That is like the boundary set. This is me time. I'm doing this. And the couch guy is happy on the couch.
Right.
Like he wants to be on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm, you seeing this also? Like this trend's working?
I don't know. I think I'm trying to pin it down, because on the one hand, people say opposites attract. On the other hand, obviously if you're too opposite, then it's just you need something in common. So the question really comes down to what's important to have in common, and where is it that opposites attract, and why is it that opposites attract? I think that opposites attract more applies, in my opinion, to the masculine and feminine energies. Whereas for a lot of people, they like to, even the couch potato. Like when I'm feeling more in the couch potato state at times, I would prefer it if there's another person sitting on the couch with me than if I'm just on the couch by myself.
Right, so that's what
I'll
you
send
need.
Avery
Right.
over
So
in
in your
5.
case, opposites don't necessarily attract. Some people need to marry or be in a relationship with someone who's more similar to themselves. So that too is case by case, and that's the thing with shidduchim. You can't put people in a box. Each person is different. We know, just as we each have our own fingerprints, and so too people are different from one another in terms of what they need and what they want, and what will ultimately create a healthy, happy marriage.
Yeah. Oh, I'm curious your perspective on soulmates. Do you think it's healthy whether or not it exists, because you could argue that it exists, or Zivig Sheni, whatever Zivig Rishon Zivig Sheni means, maybe it's more esoteric. But I'm curious I've also heard that there's a perspective out there that whether or not it exists is really irrelevant, because it's just unhealthy to think about, because how you can't know for sure. But I'm curious what you think about that topic.
So, there are people who are so well connected to one another, they can finish each other's sentences.
Sandwiches.
Yeah, and seriously, no,
So
you see that all the time. No, you do see that, and they can sense when the other is experiencing some happiness or sadness, or if something is wrong.
That's
so
deep.
there are people that are so in tune with one another. So, with regards to soulmates, there's so many different versions to it. Some people say that a person can have more than one soulmate. A soulmate can even be a friend. I don't think we should get so hung up on it. When you say you want to marry your soulmate, okay, so that can just be an expression. I don't think people should get so hung up on the word soulmate. They should really get more hung up on finding someone whom they can make happy. It's not, the main problem why relationships fail is because he is not doing for me or she's not doing for me. Yep. It's about what can I do for the person. And that's really what creates the bond. When a baby is born, how do parents get to love that child? It's because they're giving to the child. The child is not doing, the infant is not doing anything for the parent. And the more the parent or parents are doing for the child, the more the bond grows and the love grows. Love grows from giving, not from taking. When you just take, you're depleting. Mm-hmm. Giving increases.
Yeah,
I've heard the analogy to a bank account. It's like your money bank account, and then you have your relationship bank account. Yeah. And basically your goal in a relationship.
Taking out, you're just going to deplete the account until there's nothing left inside of it, and that's why relationships fail.
Make as many deposits as you can.
Absolutely, deposits of giving. It's not what have you done for me lately. It's what can I do for you.
Yeah, but see, I do think that people like, people in the shidduch core now. That's what I refer to as the shidduchim, the shidduchiers. I think people have become more selfish.
Agreed.
I don't think it's a bad thing in many ways because, first of all, in a godly sense, this is kind of like, where God put us. This is like we're in a little bit. And also we do need to be more, there are advantages with these movements of like being more selfish for yourself. I'm going to treat myself right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put myself first because, it builds your character. It helps you out in many ways. As someone who's tried it, I think it's more on the those bad parts where people just they're not interested in giving someone a try or changing certain things they need to change.
Right.
And hence people just getting married later. Finding people later in life. What would you say, Baila, is like an average age now of like where people like what would I would say 25 is like more common today than
it really depends.
Than 20,
it really depends. The truth. So it's true that people are getting married a little bit later. Never before have there been so many unmarried singles in their 40s. Years ago, it was a rarity, and there's so many, and that's why they have so many singles events for people in their 40s. And I'm not talking about those that come back again a second time or a third time because their marriage didn't work out. I'm talking about people that have never been married. So people are getting married later on in life, I would say, but we still have young marriages too.
Plenty.
But we are, thank God for that. It's case by case. This is case by case. I know I'm using that word a lot. That phrase a lot. But it's true. I
know it's very subjective. Well, when things tend to be case by case and subjective, in an innovative. One look at it is that we're maybe missing the boat. We're missing the boat. We're not actually pinpointing like what is the issue. Like I know in Lakewood BMG, I actually saw a video. Maybe I'll post it on the webpage. People, I'm going to post it on the webpage, so we'll have like a video of the main CEO and founder of Xtel Real Estate Development. Avery, you've heard about them? Xtel. Okay.
Yeah.
God. I was watching this video and I was like, "Oh my God, this is the guy!" Because I used to daven.
Greedy capitalists.
I know, right? I used to daven mincha there. So, like back in my yeshiva bacher Wall Street days, So he did this video, like he wealthy guy. So he brought in like the Rosh Yeshiva
Gary Barnett
him, yeah.
The owner, yeah.
So he brought in I didn't really hop on like this was a big deal, but he brought in like the Rosh Yeshiva South Fallsburg. And like all these Shadchanim, and they decided right there, like in an hour YouTube video, they're like, we're going to start sending the yeshiva bachrim to Eretz Yisrael a year earlier and bring them back a year earlier so we can kind of close an age gap. So I give them credit. I think they really work together to do this, and I don't know if they're successful now. The video was only from 6 months ago. So we need to figure out what is screwing us up. What is holding us back? And let's jump on top of it. I heard Andrew Yang on my boy Joe Rogan, and he was talking about giving the truck drivers a freedom dividend, aka socialism. But anyway, the freedom dividend. Maybe we got to start giving singles a freedom dividend. Like seriously, let's get the most wealthiest people from the Jewish community, and let them put young singles give them a dividend of something. Maybe it'll relax them more. It's a great idea. Baila, hello, is this not? I just thought about this.
All right, so I want to go back to
I just thought about this now, and I know you're a staunch Republican, but or conservative. But this could be great. Like this is. I think we just thought of we just solved the shidduch crisis.
I don't think that's going to solve the shidduch crisis. So let's go back to go back to understanding the term shidduch crisis was coined because you have younger people dating. You have 19-year-old young ladies coming back from seminary ready to date, and the guys are not available to them. So when you're 19 years old, when you're a 19-year-old young lady, you're not going to feel comfortable dating a guy in his late 20s. So they want to date, young men in their early 20s, and there are fewer of them available. So that's where the word shidduch crisis came about, because there were fewer guys available for so many young ladies who were looking to date. But as they get older, it's not an issue anymore. If a young lady is 25 years old, she could date a guy. I mean, she wouldn't mind dating a guy who's 30, up to 30, or maybe even a little bit, maybe early 30s. So that's, a shidduch crisis is not the issue anymore. And at that point, they're already mingling, unless they're in very right-wing communities. They're attending singles events. They're on the dating apps. But it comes down to, because their expectations, and the more expectations one has, the less opportunities will be available to them. A shidduch is often compared to the search for a house. So if you're looking for a house anywhere, just a house, you'll find it a lot faster than somebody who will say, well, I want a house in this particular community on this particular block. Now, the house has to be built this way and have so many rooms. So the more, the more specifics you have, and the more requirements you have, the more challenging it will be to find what it is you're looking for. And then it gets down to, okay, so I have to settle. I can't get everything. So what exactly are you willing to settle for?
Right. I see, and I want, and I love what you just said, and I will jump in right there. Anyone who has to think like, oh, do I need to settle, or I don't want to, right there, I think those are the people with the problem. Because if you can't honestly look yourself in the mirror with integrity and be like, I know what I'm looking for. I know my self-worth. I'm willing to give almost anyone within the right category or scope a chance. You're not going to need to say to yourself, serenity now, serenity now. Like you have that just you love.
I don't understand the
serenity
the
now.
usage.
Serenity now. From Seinfeld.
I know what it is. I just don't understand the context.
Meaning be at peace. Be at peace with things. You're going to be able to be with peace. You're going to have that peace of mind. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
when I say settling, I don't mean giving.
When
I say settling, I don't mean giving up on something important. It means looking at things and looking at one's requirements and saying, okay, I think wanting this particular thing in a person is frivolous, and recognizing that it's frivolous. I don't, for a guy to say, I don't need a young lady with blue eyes. It's okay if she has brown eyes. Things like that. I mean, I'm not talking about.
I think it's as nuanced
things.
as that, though. I do think. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. You know more, but that's it. Okay, I know we're going to head into our closing now. Anyone? This is our new segment where I say, okay, people, last chance to let Avery know the truth.
What, your name is Caitlyn Jennerstein? What? Is that the truth? Is that
it would be Hannah Jennerstein.
Hannah Jennerstein?
Okay.
Missed you last night, Michael.
It's literally what I yeah.
Oh, I missed it last night. Oh, shoot.
Improv. Yeah.
I went to a singles event instead.
Oh, get it.
Oh, wow.
Was that the one in Lakewood?
No. Was there one in Lakewood?
There was one in Lakewood. I just couldn't make it. I got out of work at 6. It was 7.
No, this was with Locks Club. You know that app, Locks Club?
Oh. No. Tell me more.
No.
How did I miss it?
Sorry.
How did I miss it?
It's a new Jace Wave. Not really, but it's only.
I heard of the Locks Club. Yeah. They told me, since I associate with Isaac, I can't get in. So if I defriend him,
terrible.
They will. I did hear of this. No, I know.
They're strict. So
they're very. It's not a joke. I'm not even kidding.
No, stop it.
Swear to God.
What's this app called?
It's a Jewish dating app for very select premium members of the Jewish
Get out of here.
dating society. So you have to be.
There's not even that many people.
Yeah, you have to be a child. You have to be like a Jared Kushner equivalent, or a friend of theirs, know someone who lives in the city, who is prominent within like the YJP type of community.
Cool.
And then you can get in, and they have parties and
Oh wow.
they club. And
What ages is this for?
I don't know.
I think it's all technically it's all ages, but they do.
ages, yeah.
No one knows. They don't say like, "Hey, this is what our filters are based on." So they might filter people out based on age, and like no one would really know.
It's
Oh my
very
God. That's so interesting.
anonymous.
Oh wow, cool.
Similar.
All right.
It's very anonymous.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Where I have been sleeping under a rock recently.
You have.
Like what? Okay, what's a website? Where am I going? Because I'm gonna sign up.
Locks Club. My non-Jewish intern told me about this.
Your non-Jewish,
website, I
do
swear
you
to God.
believe this?
He knew
Really?
more about it than
I
did.
believe it. I know non-Jews that have made shidduchim.
Yeah.
I have
That
two stories
I
of
hear. Ooh, I
Yeah.
wanna
He's
hear
like,
that.
Avery, you don't know about the Locks Club? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, there's a Jewish dating app that you need to be on.
Are you using your mic
Okay.
good, Baila?
It's sliding.
doing okay?
What?
Why
Say
does it
again?
keep sliding? It keeps sliding.
Oh, it's gonna slide out. Yeah, it's gonna hang like that. It's gonna.
Yeah?
It's supposed to go like this.
Okay.
Just like that.
Okay, fine.
Is that fine?
Yeah, no, it's fine for me. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
want to.
I have the same thing. I like it's.
Oh,
It's good.
okay.
It's dropped. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
okay.
Perfect. You're good. If you
I'm
want to,
good.
lean in. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I'm
if you want,
fine.
you can move the chair down if you want.
No, I'm good.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so what was the name of this thing? Locks.
The
What?
Locks Club. It's easier to get
Okay,
into
okay.
than
It's LOX. Locks, like the fish.
like what you
Oh,
smear
get
on
at it. That is so stupid.
cream cheese on. Yeah.
What a stupid name. Like that clearly is done by from people. Fine. So we're
Who
going to
knows?
get to the closing just right after this. Okay. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. People, wow, what another episode. I loved it. Baila, we had I enjoyed the conversation.
Oh, so did I. It was great.
And it was good. I'm a big fan. I'm really going to tell people.
You're
to
tremendous,
give you a call,
Baila.
Thank you.
Thank you for
and you're
coming.
doing it for a long.
Thank you
you're
for
doing this
inviting me.
You're there's so many Shadchanim that go into the biz and just like realize it's tough work and they run away. But you're here, right? You're still doing this for all this time. So like, really, Yasher Kayach.
You're
Thank
doing
you.
the Lord's work, they call it. Appreciate that you
the Lord's dirty work. No, tough work.
It's important to remember that it's not the Shadchan that makes the shidduch, but Hashem. He is the one who is mezaveg zavugim.
Yeah.
Amen,
Yeah.
sister. All right, cousin Malk.
All right, Hashem, we got a bone to pick.
So thanks for coming on, Avery. It's been fun. Baila, where can people reach out to you?
So they can email me at bailasebrow@gmail.com.
Okay, awesome. So people, bailasebrow@gmail.com. This has been another episode, 77, Good Things About the Shadchan.